Hi, I'm excited that you're here today. Thank you so much for joining me. In the next few minutes, I will be speaking to you on becoming a pastor's wife. My name is Tomi Adisa, and I am a pastor's wife. It's amazing that I would say that now. I was just thinking some days ago, and I was having a conversation with some people, and I was sharing a little bit of my experience. And I said, you know what? Why not tell the story? The way it is now, instead of waiting for a future time when it's perfect or when you have more things to say. I'm certain that the little that I'll be sharing with you today, you will learn a lot from it, I'm sure. But I'd like to start with a scripture. So let's start with Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 to 24. Ephesians 5:22 to 24 says, Wives, be submissive to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church and the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is to be in submission to Christ, so the wives should be to their husbands in everything. So, how did I become a pastor's wife? For a long time, I never saw myself becoming a pastor's wife. I never wanted anything to do with ministry. That's the truth. After I gave my life to Christ, and then we started attending church and I became committed in church. As I related with people, everyone would go like, oh, Toby should marry a pastor's wife. There are two things they said about me. Toby should be a lawyer, Toby should be a pastor's wife. I am bold, creative, passionate about the gospel. So that combination just made them feel like this sister who is cool, passionate about the gospel, creative, will be a blessing to a man that is also in ministry. But I never wanted that. As a matter of fact, anyone who sounded like a pastor or who is a pastor or looks like somebody that in the nearest future can become a pastor, any guy who fit into all of this description that approached me, I benched them immediately. Like, it was this particular guy when we were on campus. A lot of people knew he was asking me out. He was a solid guy, kind, supportive, really liked me, and he was a good person. And but that thing about ministry, I was like, please, you will have to excuse me from your journey because I cannot be a pastor's wife. I just wanted to live a private life. I wanted that picture. The picture I had in my mind was me, my husband, and my children just doing life together. And I can be that cool wife, go where I want to go, wear what I want to wear, and just be amazing. I just wanted simplicity, mostly because my dad is a pastor and I know what it takes to be a pastor. I've seen the demand on him. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So I did not want to marry a pastor for this reason. So how did I eventually marry a pastor? So let me give you a story. So I'd declined several, proposals from people who look like they're pastors or the pastors and who can become pastors. And by the time I was ready to settle, I was just waiting. Apart from those that, God actually said, no, it can't be this person. I didn't have the release, the peace to go ahead. Then I met my husband. When I met my husband, he was like me, cool guy, passionate about God. He is still a Bible scholar, but on the outside, he looked very cool. He was not uptight. He could hold a conversation. He knew about the entertainment industry. He had friends. He was social, yes. His social skills were top notch. Social, it was easy to be with, it was friendly, it wasn't uptight, but at the same time, very passionate about God, had a monthly retreat with God, never joked with Bible study. So I felt like, aha, I have met my kind. And it gave me peace of mind to just be with him, because I'd made up my mind and God saw that I'd made up my mind that I will never marry a pastor. There was nothing that could convince me otherwise. And, God just let me and let me be. And so I met my darling husband and we started courting. And when he proposed and said, be my wife, let's get married, I asked him expressly, it was not impliedly, I said, do you have any plans of becoming a pastor? This young man said, me. Pastor, I'm just sent to the entertainment industry. I want to make a difference there. I want to amplify the message of Christ in creative ways, and I want to build businesses around the world. So I said, this is my man. This is my man, marketplace praise. This is the man that God has made for me. We don't have to carry microphone and begin to church every Sunday and be pastoring any church. You know, through our lives, the world will be changed. So we got married. When we got married, we were initially attending a church in Lagos. We live at the Redemption Camp, but it was not convenient. So, especially after I took him, we started attending a church on camp. Now, this church on camp, there were a few people there who knew me from campus. When I was on campus, I was very vibrant in the fellowship. I was an executive from my 200 level to 500 level, and I already had a ministry expression when I was on campus. I had my first conference actually as an undergraduate. So as soon as I joined the church, they told the pastor about me. Pastor in his mind was like, oh, this person is going to serve in this department and it's going to be a blessing to the church. But I'd made up my mind that there is nothing that can move me to jump into any ministerial role. I started doing that, from my service year. I served even in law school as a vice president of class one. So service year, different fellowship came for me. Would like you to be part of our fellowship. Come and be this, come and be that. I said, oh no, I'm busy. I served in OBS. I said, you know what? Just give me an OBS. From this point onward, I just want to lie low and be fed and be taken care of. So, but the Pastor Jinwari, a special shout out to you. He's an amazing man of God. He will follow up. He will come to the house. So he started to check up on you. How are you doing? How are you settling? How is your wife? I opened up my heart to him. We welcomed him because it was not like the regular pastor. We thought he was going to try to boss us around and compel us, and we had made up our mind like nothing. We'll just be coming and be workers, and that's all, just basic workers. I'm not going to do more than myself. But when you're in a loving environment, a loving church, you eventually do more than yourself, quote and unquote. So we started serving, I allowed my creative juice to flow. Then we're in RCC Jeremiah Chapel. And before you know it, one responsibility led to another, and then we were transferred. The first time we were transferred to a church, my husband was transferred to be the assistant pastor. We were not even in church that Sunday. I think we were gone for a program, a vigil. So we're sleeping, and I was pregnant. So I was too tired to go to church. Someone called me and said, Satomi, congratulations. I said, congratulations what? She said, your husband has been transferred to a new church and you guys are the assistant pastor. I said, no, it can't be. I said, it has to be another Femi Adisa. I said, it has to be another Femi Adisa. She said, no, I'm sure. I said, please confirm. My husband was still sleeping. Then she said, it's your own Femi Adisa. So I woke my husband up. I said, so you knew about this? I was upset. So you knew you had accepted to be an assistant pastor. Did we not have an agreement? Did we not have a conversation about this before I married you? My husband was shocked. He said, I don't know about this. I said, you know what? You must write a letter right now to reject that appointment. We searched the house. We couldn't find a pen. Guess what? I gave him a pencil. I said, write right now and take the letter to them. Took the letter to the pastor. They insisted, and said, you know what? Just go first and see how it goes. We can't take this letter from you. Those of us that are pastors too, we didn't want to become pastors, but here we are today. So 1 month, we didn't go to this church. 1 month plus, we couldn't go back to our former church because it has been announced there that we have been transferred. So we're floating from one church to another, but we didn't have that home feeling, that settled, experience. So eventually we went to the church. My mind was made up. I thought the pastor and his wife were going to be mad at us, like, oh, they transferred us together and you guys did not come. See, I know you're thinking right now, like, how can somebody be like this? We were unwilling vessels, yes. Especially me. So, we got to the church. My mind was ready. I was ready for snide remarks, bombastic side eye. I was ready for salty attitude. I was prepared, like, just bring it on. Me, I didn't want to come here before, so give me a reason not to come. And so we got there, and shockingly, this man, and especially his wife, she hugged me. Pastor Mrs. Otoyemi, she hugged me. She said, oh, she's been waiting for me to come. Now they're excited to receive us. These are the workers. She introduced me. I was pregnant with second twins at this time. everybody, the older twin were still toddlers because it was less than 2 years gap between them. And I think I was carrying one on my shoulders. She picked him up and put my baby on her back immediately, and told me, just sit down here. That she was sweet. Gosh. And who can resist a sweet heart? And so, I felt like, oh, we can't leave them alone to do this work. We transferred to get. So myself and my husband got on board and we started serving. Few months after we joined the church, they relocated. So we became the pastors. And that's how I became a pastor's wife. I mean, looking back now, I'm like, God just set me up. God just said, Angel Gabriel, Angel Michael, this girl, we cannot compare her. She will never be. I mean, some guys, some of the people that knew me when I was younger know. The moment you're sounding like, God said to me, I have an assignment, I'll do the work of God. Fiam, I have gone. If you're not even serving in church or in fellowship, you just look like it. Some people look like it. You can see the way they carry themselves, the way they are suit, the way they do their shirt, the way they carry their Bible, the way they're in church early, the way they leave late. Not you are doing like that. Yours truly, I have zoned you out. Like, I am not going to be a pastor's wife because I know that God will have me in the marketplace and do some social work. So I never really saw myself, honestly, in all the things I saw about myself, I never saw myself as a pastor's wife. So that's how, I became a pastor's wife. And the journey has been interesting. I have been stretched on this journey. I think after marriage and parenting, serving as a pastor's wife has stretched me the most. So top is marriage, second is parenting, third is serving as a pastor's wife. I remember our current church when we transferred there, the church was at a level where it required a lot of work financially, emotionally, spiritually. We had to do series of teaching. Most of the children in my church are from, the church is like a semi-rural area. So some of them are not exactly well educated. Some of them are not even educated at all, exposed. And I told my husband, will our children be interacting with these people? I had many questions, many reservations. I was afraid. But I'm grateful to my husband, a man of vision, a man that submits completely to authority. And in this place, I have grown in every sense. And I'll be sharing with you 7 things I have learned as a pastor's wife. Number 1, the first responsibility of a pastor's wife is the pastor. That's your first responsibility. You cannot be more passionate about the church than your husband. And ignore your husband. You can actually have a bigger passion, but you can't do it to the detriment of your marriage. You are only a pastor's wife because your husband is a pastor. So it's your first responsibility. He must be well fed, properly dressed up. I'm not saying you have to dress for him, but I'm saying you have to pay attention to his appearance. He must be validated, supported. He must know that you're with him. I remember the time when I was struggling to get on board with my husband, especially when we transferred to our current church that I now love so much. And my husband practically took the church from being under a rented canopy to a rented apartment, and now we are in our own building. When we initially got there, it caused strife in our marriage because my husband felt like it was alone. And honestly, it caused a little bit of strife in my marriage. It strained our marriage a bit because I was struggling to get on board. But my husband kept seeing opportunities. I couldn't see it at that time. And, I saw how it stressed my husband, how it drained him. The number one thing a man wants from his wife at all times is that complete and absolute support. And sometimes it can take you time to get there. Yeah, I know. It doesn't make you a bad wife that you're not there. But if you refuse to get there, then you can be hurting your marriage. And the man also has a responsibility to continue to communicate the vision to the wife. But some men, can see it, but their wives can't see it, and they are not communicating what they can see. So there is a vision gap. The wife is seeing nothing, the man is seeing a lot. And especially for a woman, For myself, thank God, that thing was already in me. The Lord had prepared me. If my husband is not just a pastor, I'm also a ministry gate, but I did not see it. For a long time, I called my ministry expressions non-governmental organizations because I just could not bring myself to the place where I would be considered a ministry gate, a pastor. I don't want to be that. But the Lord worked on my heart, and my husband was a great encouragement. My husband was a great encouragement. Yes, there were days it was like, just get on board and flow with me. But there were days he said, you know what, babe, it's going to get better. We're doing this, we're doing that. By the time we do this, by the time we do that, oh, did you see that person that joined us in church today? We're going to have this program. And there were days we're leaving the church and he'll be like, okay, let's just go to the mall. Let's just go and relax. Let's take ice cream. Because he knew that, it was taking me time to get to that place. It's the responsibility of the person who has gotten to that place first, whether it's the wife or the husband, to communicate the vision with patience, with love, and consistently show to the spouse, how they can be a part of that vision. It's very important. More importantly, is that you treat your wife with love. This is for pastors. If you treat your wife like the church is more important than her, you don't care whether she's happy or not. Whether she's happy or not, you're doing the work of God, and that's all that matters. If she likes, she can join the train or be left behind, and you're giving a responsibility to other persons in the church. You're not going to last in ministry. And if you're not careful, you're going to fall into error. Yeah. If you're not careful, you're going to fall into error. You must do the work of convincing your wife. If she does not believe in ministry, maybe she's not, we've seen wives who say, I don't want to be a pastor's wife. She doesn't even, let's say she's insisting and adamant and saying, I can never be a pastor's wife. I don't want to fit into that role. You can convince her that you love her. No, just do it because I love you and because you love me. Come to church. Don't worry. Somebody else will be the head of the children's department. Somebody else will attend to the women. You just be my wife and come for me. And then with love, it's easy to convince all the instances I mentioned. If they are trying to exercise and enforce their authority on me, I will not be disobedient. I would accept the punishment. I would accept the discipline. I would accept the tongue lash. But guess what? I was never going to move an inch. But their love conquered me. Love will always conquer. So the first responsibility of a pastor's wife is to her husband, to make sure that the husband has peace of mind, is well supported, is validated, is well fed. You're taking care of his emotional and sexual needs. But the pastor has a responsibility to carry his wife along, to honor her in that church. Don't say, oh, because she has not come on board, you're having a meeting, you will not inform her. You're going to be talking to the women and introduce someone to lead the women, and you're not going to inform her because you're trying to punish her for not getting on board, for not just being a part of what you're doing. You're only going to make your marriage suffer. And when your marriage suffers, you suffer. When a marriage suffers, both parties suffer. It does not matter who is wrong or who is right. The two of you are going to suffer. Number two is a second responsibility. The second responsibility of the pastor's wife is towards her children. The church does not come before your children. The church does not come before your marriage. We've seen many pastors and many pastors will give the barest minimum to their children. The barest minimum in attention, the barest minimum in love, the barest minimum in money, the barest minimum in everything. Your children are used to grow the church, to grow the ministry. No, your children have a special place in your heart. These are your children. They are not just souls, they are your children. Also, yes, your church members are souls. Your children are souls. But your children are not just souls, they are what? They are your children. Paul was telling them in the book of Timothy that if you want to appoint someone as a bishop, it must be someone who has control over his home. It means that you must have excelled. You must be practicing ministry at home before you can be appointed into any position or chosen to pick up any role in the church. So you must care for your children. How you treat your children in church and at home will greatly impact the church. People are going to see your children. They are going to interact with them. They are going to know whether your children love you. When children love you, they honor you, they respect you, they obey you. If you don't take the time to instruct your children, teach them in the word, discipline them, it's going to show. It's going to show. And how you raise your children is going to affect how church members also raise their own children. If you neglect your family, guess what? The church members will neglect their family. And you're going to have a younger generation who cannot pick up the assignment, who cannot serve in the body of Christ, and who do not genuinely love God. They may even apply their skills and serve with their skills, but their hearts will be far from God. So you must be passionate about family. Pastors' children must be given adequate attention and care, even in church. Other children can access their parents. Let your children access you too. In church, you can now plead with them and say, you know what, can we talk about this when we get home? Can we do this when we get home? But don't always shush them away and say, I'm busy with the Lord's work. Can't you see I'm busy? I'm counseling, I'm teaching, I'm having a meeting. And then your children feel like they're strangers. They see you as strangers anytime you're in church. Yes, there are ministers like that. The children cannot come near them. So the children are jealous and envious of the church, and then they hate the church because they feel like the church has taken their place in the heart of their father, in the heart of their mother. So your responsibility before the church is towards your children. Number 3 is a pastor's wife must be prayerful. Must be prayerful. There's nothing you can do in God's kingdom without prayer. Must be prayerful. James 5:16 says that power is made available when we pray. Your fervent prayer does what? Makes tremendous power available. You need power to do the work of ministry. You need power to lead women. You need power to support your husband. You need power in terms of wisdom, knowledge, insight, discernment, love, financial abundance. You need this power to do the work of ministry well. You need it. You need it. If not, you'll be weary, you'll be worn out, you'll be tired, constantly tired. Luke 18:1 says, men ought to pray and not to faint. If you don't pray, you will faint as a pastor's wife. And the moment you start fainting, there are many women ready to take your place. You will not be proactive. You'll be a pastor's wife, but somebody else is seeing the needs of the church and meeting the needs of the church better than you. They may not have the title, but guess what? People would rather go to them, talk to them, than come to you. You will lack the discipline to lead. You will lack the discipline to study. A pastor's wife must be prayerful. People should know that when they come to you, there'll be solutions to their answers. When they speak with you, when you pray with them, testimonies should follow. You cannot command testimonies if you are not prayerful. You can't. Being a pastor's wife is not about wearing makeup, fancy dresses, big fascinators, and just sitting in front. Any dummy can do that. Anybody actually can do it. Being a pastor's wife is about results. It's about products. It's about impact. It's about your presence in the church, making a difference. When you are in church, everybody feels it. When you don't attend service, everybody feels it. Does not mean that service will suffer, but they know that your substance, your essence, your flavor is missing. So you must be prayerful. Number 4, a pastor's wife must be an example in all things. In all things. Your church is small, it is still growing. You don't have enough members in the choir, enough members in the sanitation department, enough members in the children's department, but yet you come to church every Sunday, you sit back, you cross your leg, you're just always giving instruction. If you're lazy, your church members will choose laziness. If you are dirty, your church members may choose dirtiness. You must be an example in all things. 2 Timothy chapter 2:15, 2 Timothy 2:15 says, make every effort to show yourself approved to God, a workman who does not need to be ashamed. Using the word of truth rightly, you must be a workman that does not need to be ashamed. Get up and fill that role. Some people will say, sometimes when I speak to pastor's wife, they say, my husband, he doesn't give me responsibility. In the church, I'm just floating. I don't know my place. Are you saying that there are no needs to meet in the church? Meet a need. Design a curriculum for the children's department. Design programs for the children's department. The choir, call them together and pray with them. You used to serve as a choir in the choir department in your parents' church, in your former church. In the new church, join the choir department. Lead praise and worship one day and see if you will not be hot cake. Take the Sunday school department. Join the Bible study department. Don't wait for that glorified, exceptional VIP treatment. That is just carnal. Yes, honor is important. You should be honored. But you are waiting for them to give you special invitation to serve in your father's house. I don't get it. Make me understand. Dear Ma, Your Royal Highness, the First Lady, the wife of our dear pastor, could you please, in your glorious person and the wisdom that has been bestowed upon you, please serve in the choir department? We have heard of your glorious works in the church you were coming from, that when you sing in the choir, angels bow down. So please sing for us. Auntie, get up and do the work. When we stand before God on the last day, there will be no titles. They will not say evangelist XYZ, first lady. You ever see? Pastor's wife told me I deserve. There will be no titles. It's just your works that will be tested, not based on your title. So you get into the church, you see that the church has not been swept. Sweep. The chairs are dirty. Sometimes when I'm cleaning the chairs in church, they won't take the rag from me. I say, why are you taking the duster from me? Go and get your own duster. Cleaning. The church veranda is dirty. Get the broom and sweep it. Be an example in all things. That's how you command respect, and that's how you are able to build your authority. You cannot just come and be commanding people in for what? No, it doesn't work that way. So you must be an example in all things, an example in your appearance. A pastor's wife should look beautiful. And it's not about getting expensive things. You should be neat. You should smell nice. Wear a body spray. Your hair should be nicely made, even though it's covered up. Your beret, your turban, your fascinator should smell nice. Air them. Your shoes should be neat, even if you just have 2 pairs. Your children should look decent. A pastor's wife's mouth should not be smelling. Take care of your breath. You are a first lady. You are the first lady. See, when they want to look at the pastor and judge the pastor, whether he knows what he's doing, the first person they're going to look at is you. You are the first disciple of your husband. You are the first disciple. So you must be an example in all things, in how you relate with your husband. You don't talk at him anyhow in church. When he's talking, when he says 1, you say 3. You don't speak rudely to your husband. You don't disrespect him in church. And at home, you take care of him. Welfare department may forget to give your husband water after his ministration, but you don't forget. You get that water and that cup, you take it there. Make sure his handkerchief is ready. When you want to call in to give an opinion, maybe during Bible study, something you're coordinating, you address him as pastor. Be an example. Let people see how they should treat your husband. Let people see how they should treat your husband in the way that you treat him. An example. Number 5, you must be loving towards all. You must be loving. I've seen pastors' wives who are loving towards some and who act like others do not exist. In your church, you would have the rich, the creme de la creme, the middle class, the poor, and the very poor. You will have them. You must love everyone equally. When they are around you, they must feel received, accepted, validated. They must feel their best feelings when they are around you. Compliment people genuinely. I love your dress. I love your smile. I love the way you make your hair. I love the way you carry yourself. I love the way you relate to your husband. I love the way you care for your children. And make the effort to remember their names and the names of their children. I have a trick because I'm not very good with names. So I have a trick in my church that I use. If I know the husband's name, I call the wife by the husband's name too. So in my church, you hear things like Brother Andrew, Sister Andrew. Care for their children. When you're coming to church, a pastor's wife's hands should not be empty. Every time you are receiving gifts for yourself, receiving gifts for your husband, you don't give gifts. You know people who are undergraduates in your church, who are going back to school, you don't give them anything. They compliment you all the time that they love your outfits. You don't buy when you're buying for them, or give them the ones you've worn that are still very good. The children's department, you don't bring big gifts for them. Those celebrating their birthday should know that, okay, when I'm celebrating my birthday, I get a gift from pastor's wife. It can be something small, an exercise book, a pen, a candy, a sweet. You don't give money. You don't give anything. Everything you have is for you, yourself, and your family alone. You must be loving. You must speak lovingly to people, even when you're scolding them. You must be loving towards all. No matter how sound your husband is, No matter how fantastic your husband is, if you don't know how to accept and love people, you will cause a division in your church that will make the work of ministry very difficult. Your husband can be a great teacher, an anointed teacher, but if you don't know how to love everyone, accept everyone, you're going to divide the church and make the work of ministry extremely difficult. Don't speak evil of any church member and don't engage in gossip. Pastors' wives should not engage in gossip. I see people, leaders who open their ears to gossip because they want to know how loyal other people are to them. They want to know who really loves them. That's just insecurity. You have informants in the work of God. When it's not a political party, you have people who go around, who pretend, who hear information about people's personal lives, things they say about you, and they bring it to you. It's because you don't have work to do. If you are really busy with the assignments that God has given to you, you are teaching and you are serving, counseling, interceding, you will not have time to sit down to hear what somebody said about you. You don't engage gossip and you totally discourage it. People will talk, make peace with that. They will say things about you. As a pastor's wife, they will judge you. They will judge how you talk. They will judge your appearance. They will judge what you do, what you don't do. And it's an opportunity to learn, but you don't engage in gossip. If you need to know something about somebody, ask them. If they don't tell you, leave it. Leave it. Proverbs 16 verse 19. Proverbs 16:19 says, a false witness who speaks lies and he who sows discord amongst brethren. Those are the 6 things or 7 things that God hates. Somebody who speaks lies and those who sow discord. Things they told you in confidence or things you learned from your husband in confidence, you now share with your carcass. You say, can you imagine? That's the saddest thing. That acting as if she's better than everybody, always wearing fine clothes more than everyone. Do you know her husband slapped her yesterday so that they can despise her, so that you can lord yourself over her? Don't be a witch. You're a pastor's wife. Number 6, you must learn to receive criticism and endure it. Some criticism, are coming from a good place and they are relevant. You must learn to receive it. Because sometimes some people will never applaud you. They will never say, you're doing amazing. I remember one time I cried because I was doing so many things. They feel that I was not doing. That's what this, a group of people in my church sat on and complained about bitterly. And it hurt me. It hurt me deeply. It hurt me and it almost discouraged me from doing the things I was doing. But I'm grateful for the leadership of my husband. It got to a point where I had to have a workers' meeting. And my husband addressed it and, called them and said, what are the things you have to say? And they said it again. And I said, have you considered that I do this, and nobody else does it? And I told them, imagine how I feel. And then you had these things about me, but you did not even come to me to say, oh, Ma, you're doing amazing. But there are areas that you need to work on. You decided to have conversations behind me. These things will happen. I'm telling you, because when we say things that we don't share our personal experience, people think sometimes that you have it easier than them. People are going to talk about you. If you wear high heels, they say, why is she wearing high heels? Is she trying to oppress us in this church? If you wear low heels, they say, sir, she's wearing low heels. She looks like an old woman. So please, you must learn to receive it. And then some criticism are not relevant. So why is she wearing color blue all the time? The color I wear, does it affect the work I do? You must learn to endure it. And love people in spite of how they see you and how they appreciate you or don't appreciate you. And we see that in Proverbs 15:31-32. Proverbs 15:31-32 says, the ear that listens to the correction of life abides among the wise. He who refuses instruction despises his own soul, but he who heeds correction gets understanding. So you must listen. Because if you close your heart to criticism, you will not grow. You won't get better. They are just always envious, always jealous. They're always complaining about me. And you shut your mind and you become numb to feedback. You will not grow. You're going to be the same woman you were last year for the next few years of your life. Everywhere God plants you is an opportunity to grow. You may even feel like, oh, what am I doing with these people? But there is something about them that would benefit you, that will make you a better person and increase your wisdom. You must learn to receive criticism. You must learn to endure criticism. And when you know that, criticism is becoming gossip and it's becoming something that can affect the growth and the unity of the church, you must also have find the courage to address it. Call them into your office and have a meeting with them. Oh, somebody said this, that you said that. Even if they deny, they know that talking about this person will not come easy. So you must learn to receive. And lastly, you must be diligent. You must be diligent because as a pastor's wife, you have many responsibilities. There are Sundays I have planned that, when I come back from church at this time, I'm going to rest and do this with my children. Then I'll prepare for the week. You finish service, pastor calls you to counsel this person. You finish counseling, pastor says, oh, we have to visit this church member. You finish visiting the church member. On your way back home, you have to stop again to see somebody else. By the time you get home, you still have to cook for your family. For those of us that don't have a living help, you have to cook for your family. You have to go through your children's homework before you eventually say, I want to rest. So it's important that you're diligent. You cannot be lazy and be a pastor's wife. You will not prosper in that assignment. You see, laziness and ministry, they don't work together. You cannot be lazy. You must be diligent. Diligent means that you're doing what must be done, even when it's not convenient. You're doing what must be done, even when it's what? It's not convenient. There are days you sit, you think a counseling session will take just 20 minutes. Then they start dragging it. Just say, I want to tell you what happened in 1986. Another person say, I can remind you of what happened in 1990. You can't rush them, and you must listen. Take notes. Remember what this person is saying. Understand how this person is feeling and address their needs. So being a pastor's wife requires that you're diligent. Sometimes in a Sunday service, you serve in 4 departments. You don't just sit down in pastor's office and sit down beside him in church. You are his eyes and you are his ears. You are his eyes and his ears. If not, some things would have gone wrong, very wrong before your husband will to come to the attention of your husband. During church service, take a stroll around. Go and check the children's departments. How are the children doing? How are the children's teacher teaching the children? Go to the toilet. See how the toilet is. Is the toilet clean? Go to the car park and just see a little of what is going on. You just come in the morning, you sit in your husband's office, you attend to a few things, you give instruction, you sit down beside your husband from beginning to the end. You are not serving him very well. You're not serving him very well. Move around. Connect to the people that are serving the ministry, the people that are assisting your husband. Know them for who they are. Sometimes you can't. Some people don't need your money. They don't even need your acknowledgement. They don't need your platform, because they have their own platforms. They have their own brands that are thriving already. But just knowing that I am seen. Oh, pastor's wife came to the children's department today, appreciated all the children's teacher, gave them candy, told the children to clap for them. We went from class to class. Do you know how that will greatly encourage them? Being a pastor's wife is more than looking fancy. And it's more than waiting for the time that you'll be given a mic to stand on the church platform and minister. If you're always waiting for a mic, you will not serve with the fullness of everything God has put on your inside. Ministry is 30% microphone, standing on platform, and 70% behind the scene, connecting with people, following up, praying with people, checking them in their homes, counseling them, teaching them, supporting them financially, emotionally. That's the real work of ministry. Because of the young people who are always thinking that they just need a mic and they want to gather people. No, if that's all you do, the people will leave eventually. You must know the particular challenge each one is facing. You're constantly checking up on them, loving them, supporting them, sending them relevant Bible verses, visiting when you can. So these 7 points are the things that I'll be sharing with you today. If this has blessed you, remember to share with your friends. Please drop a comment. I'd like to take your feedback. If you have questions, please feel free to drop the question in the comment section. Before you leave, remember to like, so drop a comment, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. You are not permitted to leave until you subscribe. And I appreciate you for taking out the time to watch this from the beginning to the end. We'll be doing more of this as the Lord inspires. God bless you.